If you could spend a moment with some remarkable people and discover what their life sounds like, what would you ask? Welcome to Are We On Air? An audio encounter. I'm Armand Nafei, and each episode will feature one conversation with an inspiring friend of mine who will share with us the soundtrack to their life. Welcome to Are We On Air? For today's episode, I have a very special guest, and I'm very honored to be here in Palazzo Chuppi in New York City and to have the chance to have a chat with the artist, the filmmaker, the sculptor, man about town, Julian Schnabel. Well, thank you, Julian, for doing this. The purpose of this interview series is to kind of get into your thought process and what kind of inspires you, but through the medium of music. And your music obviously plays a strong role in your works, so I thought you would be a fantastic candidate to interview. So let's start.
Okay.
With your earliest musical memory that shaped you as an artist.
Well, I'm trying to go back. It's interesting to kind of rethink things because obviously in retrospect, Brian Wilson has been revisited over the past years, and if you think of, say, Pet Sounds,
Fantastic record.
And some of those songs that obviously when you're a teenager you hear, and you talk about heartbreak and things like that, and so I mean I was trying to remember some of those songs and when I was a kid in Brooklyn that I might have heard that had an effect on me. Also Stevie Wonder at that time. And then you have to think of Lou Reed at that time, and I guess obviously, and so this is where we're kind of late now, because I mean, if we're talking about 1973,
yeah.
When the record Berlin came out, that had a huge effect on my life. And I think there's music that's been my confidant in whatever state that even in difficult times I listen to sad music and it's quite reassuring that somebody else might feel that way.
We were in a small cafe. You could hear the guitars play. It was very nice. Oh, honey, it was paradise.
So the 80s, obviously, then you've got Iggy is, and obviously David Bowie, but
who you also collaborate later on in Basquiat.
He played Andy Warhol in the film I made, Basquiat.
He did a very good impression, I thought.
No, I think he didn't, actually. I think Jared Harris probably was more like Andy.
Yeah.
Looked more like Andy, but it was more of a doppelganger kind of a thing where is it Andy Warhol playing David Bowie or David Bowie playing Andy Warhol? Yeah. And that I liked, that it wasn't an actor playing a role. It was a guy being real. The
use of music and film and how you can create a storyline in itself, I think you've done beautifully yourself in that scene where in Basquiat actually when he's painting. I think that's one of the most beautiful scenes I've seen, and so inspiring to me, and I'm sure to many other people see that, where you play with he's in the basement and he starts painting, and you feel like you are in the room with him, and you see this creative process happening live, where you go from Miles Davis straight to Dizzy, and then straight into contemporary 80s New York through White Lions and Grandmaster. And the way that was edited, I mean, chapeau. That was beautiful. So, and how you kind of, in those few minutes, showed everything that's about to say about this person and this character and the environment, just through these 3 songs aligned with that.
I was very, very lucky, privileged. Actually, obviously, I knew Jean-Michel pretty well, but I had his record collection.
Wow.
So I knew, and I was with him, so I knew these songs, also Bands for Bonds, and these recordings. So this is something that he had.
Wow.
So it made it quite easy for me. And obviously then I was in the basement with him. So I was in the Nina's basement, and I kind of, I didn't have to invent something.
United States Savings Bonds and the Mutual Network present Bands for Bonds. In the background, we have the choicest collection of modern musicians gathered together by Barry Ulanoff, editor of Metronome magazine. Dizzy Gillespie, trumpet. Charlie Parker, alto sax. John LaPorta, clarinet. Billy Bauer, guitar. Lenny Tristano. Lenny Tristano, piano. That was Max Roach at the drums. And Ray Brown on the bass.
Vision, dreams of passion. And all the while I think of you. A very strange reaction. The more I see, the more I do. Baby.
But I did know how he put the paint on, so I could tell Jeffrey Wright of what to do, and you don't hear my voice instructing him while he's doing it. So don't look up, grab the yellow, drop it on the floor, walk to the right, grab this brush, and at the same time, so it looked very, very
Real,
authentic,
yeah.
real, natural, but the music was a real gift from Jean-Michel, and obviously with his references to whether it be Max Roach or Charlie Parker and Miles, there was a great plethora of stuff that was we had access to, and then also obviously at the end I used Heinrich Goretzky's Third Symphony, which Jean-Michel had no idea about, but it definitely took you into another kind of place. So music can be something that's foreign or something that's familiar, and you can travel in that to where you want somebody to feel like they're in exile or they're a stranger, or they can recognize something that is primordial.
There's this beautiful monologue, René Ricard and Michael Wincott playing him, then where it's about Van Gogh's boat.
Everybody wants to get on the Van Gogh boat.
Exactly.
It's so horrible that someone won't take it.
Exactly.
Right,
Beautiful,
right.
Very beautifully written, first of all.
By René, yes.
And now your recent movie is also about Van Gogh. So I was thinking, what does Van Gogh mean to you that you keep referencing him, and also what would he sound like to you, his works?
Well, I mean, what did he mean? The thing is that Rene was superimposing the notion of Van Gogh onto Jean-Michel, which is to say, if you could have met Van Gogh and realized he was a great artist at the time, maybe you would have paid attention to him. You don't want to be a part of another generation that ignores another Van Gogh. I thought that was very, very clever, and it was a great way to begin the movie.
Everybody wants to get on the Van Gogh boat. There's no trip so horrible that someone won't take it. The idea of the unrecognized genius slaving away in a garret is a deliciously foolish one. We must credit the life of Vincent van Gogh for really sending this myth into orbit. I mean, how many pictures did he sell? 1? He couldn't give them away. He has to be the most modern artist, but everybody hated him. We're so ashamed of his life that the rest of art history will be retribution for Van Gogh's neglect. No one wants to be part of a generation that ignores another Van Gogh.
That being said, I had no intention of making a movie about Vincent van Gogh at the time. I didn't want to make a movie about Vincent van Gogh either, but at a certain moment it seemed inevitable somehow. And I guess through him and through his work, I could speak about the whole project of what it is to be a painter and what his priorities were and what is relevant to that practice, and which is probably not in concert with most people's idea of somebody wanting to have success or thinking about, because you're not doing it for some other reason. You're doing it because you want to do it. So in that sense, painting is like making music, because if you hit a note, you're not explaining something. You hit that note, and it's very direct. When you're directing a movie, you translate a lot, and you're doing something that you can't do by yourself. But it is like everyone, whether it be Louise, Willem, me, the DP, Benoit, all together hitting that same note, agreeing on something and doing something impossible all together and doing it spontaneously. So we don't rehearse, and in a sense it is like jazz, because you're just responding to a situation and you're using the tool that is at hand.
So you just let it roll and you just
But
see
you're
what
prepared.
happens.
I mean, Thelonious Monk said there are no wrong notes.
Do you listen to music when you work on your paints?
I do.
What do you listen to?
I listen to the soundtrack to the Battle of Algiers a lot. And it's funny because when I was listening to it, I had it on a record. And the phone rang when I was listening to it, and I was recording it. So the phone is ringing in the song.
Oh, wow.
And when I was shooting Before Night Falls, I had the cassette tape that I had recorded with the telephone ringing on it. So when Javier Bardem goes through this line and he's going to be scrutinized by the police, the phone rings. Now, the people that were doing the sound took that out because they wanted to clean the sound up. I said, wait a minute, where's the telephone? But there are other moments where you just hear music and you don't hear sound effects with it because it sort of complicates things. Sometimes I'll blend the wind with the soundtrack in a way, but it's sort of everything exists on a Whitman-esque plane. It's all a horizontal plane where it's all of equal value, and you sort of treat it like that, and then you could sort of make anything happen.
Maria
what's your go-to falling in love or heartbreak song?
Oh, you know who is great? Benjamin Clementine.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's on this boy's mind. And nobody sees what he's been picturing.
Obviously, Leonard Cohen, he can get you sometimes. I mean, Hallelujah, John Cale singing Hallelujah.
Wow, yes.
Is amazing. But I come back to Nina Simone a lot. I mean, she just always is. It's heartbreaking to think about, her.
Also her story.
Yeah.
Her life, definitely.
Relationship to all those wonderful people that she fought for and worked with, and what a time.
I ain't got no home, ain't got no shoes, ain't got no money, ain't got no class, ain't got no skirts, ain't got no sweater, ain't got no perfume, ain't got no bed, ain't got no mind, ain't got no mother, ain't got no culture, ain't got no friends, ain't got no schooling, ain't got no love, ain't got no name, ain't got no ticket, ain't got no token, ain't got no God. And what have I got? Why am I alive anyway? Yeah, what have I got? Nobody can take away.
Well, what's the sexiest song after the heartbreak? You were going out, conquering, and you're feeling sexy.
Wait a minute. You can do that.
Well,
but I can.
maybe you should say in the past tense.
A funny song. No, but a funny song. Years ago, I was in a hotel room with Michael Wincott. We were lying in his bed in the dark, and I was lying, and on my stomach I started to go. And he starts to say, da-doom, 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 da-doom. Anyway, and he was the crowd. And so that song by Gary Glitter is muy potente.
Well, Julian, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. For this episode's playlist, visit areweonair.com, where you'll be able to enjoy the full playlist mentioned in this conversation.